Calling case number 22059. Calling case number 22059874001, the people of the state of Michigan versus Ronald Leon Jones, charged with assault with intent to murder. Today's the date and time for examination. Appearances, please.
And good morning, Your Honor. Brendan Sawyer for the people, P83033.
Good morning, Your Honor. Yes, Alan Early for Mr. Ronald Jones, who's sitting next to me in my left.
So state your name for the record.
My name is Ronald Jones. Good morning.
Your Honor, may I ask that I can remain seated because my back is giving me some problems today. Is that a problem? Thank you, Your Honor.
The court is in receipt of a motion to dismiss by the defense. The prosecutor, did you write a written response? We just gonna argue this point?
I'm prepared to proceed orally, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Early, do you stand on the written, or would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to be heard, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, with respect to the 2020 case that I referenced in my pleading, that case number is the grand jury indictment itself. And so under the ruling of the Michigan Supreme Court, that's an illegal indictment in the case of People versus Peeler and Lyon. The Supreme Court has ruled, and the Circuit Court dismissed that case, their grand jury indictment case, without prejudice because it was an illegal indictment. So I'm asking this court to dismiss the 2020 case for the same reason. Now, with respect to the 2022 case, which is apparently a district court case, 36 district court case, from what I saw at the PCC last week. Although I can't find it on M-File necessarily now. And I don't have an information for it, but it's my position that the 2022 case is also based on the grand jury indictment. Now, I have here in my hand a copy of that grand jury felony indictment, Your Honor. And I can pass it to the court, although it should be in the court file. I did talk with Mr. Brendan about it. He has a copy, Your Honor. And this grand jury felony indictment is the basis for this charge here now that we're proceeding on before this court in this preliminary hearing. They don't have any information. They just have the grand jury felony indictment again. If the court doesn't have that grand jury felony indictment.
I have it.
And so that's what they're using today also. So on that basis, this proceeding stems from the grand jury indictment also. I will say this, Your Honor, that well, that concludes my argument. I think that pretty clearly shows that this is all based on the grand jury indictment. It's illegal.
Prosecutor.
So first, very briefly, Your Honor, I think this would really more have been appropriate as a motion to reconsider over at Third Circuit when the judge over there granted the prosecution's motion to construe the indictment as an information and remand it here. But we're here today for precisely the kind of proceeding that the Michigan Supreme Court envisioned in its Peeler ruling. And that Peeler is, I don't know that there's a final citation for it available yet, but it's 2020 Westlaw 2335397. And under the heading of conclusion, this line says, quote, "And if a criminal process begins with a one-man grand jury, the accused is entitled to a preliminary examination before being brought to trial." So I think ultimately, Your Honor, we are here today for precisely the kind of proceeding that the Michigan Supreme Court envisioned would be required in the one-man grand jury cases. Thank you.
Last word.
Well, they can do that, but not based on a grand jury indictment. Yeah.
So you're arguing today.
Well, then, Your Honor, I'd ask the court to construe the indictment as an information and proceed accordingly, which was sort of the motion over at Third Circuit as well.
Court having heard the arguments as well as written as well as the written opinion. Court will construe the this as the information, the grand jury, previous grand jury process. And it is, I do agree with the prosecution that the holding appeal was that, the defendant, Mr. Jones, or all defendants who were subject to one-man grand jury were entitled to preliminary exams. And that is what we are here for today, is preliminary exams. Motion to dismiss is not granted, and I will submit a written opinion on to that to further explain the motion to dismiss is denied. With that being said, are there any other preliminary matters?
Just two very briefly, Your Honor. First, I asked for a mutual order of sequestration with an exception for my officer in charge, Corporal Triner, who is seated behind me at the moment.
No objection.
Is anyone in the courtroom that may testify today or at a future proceeding, ask you step in the hallway, an exception will be made for the officer in charge.
And then one last thing, as far as from the people, if supported by the proofs today, the people will be seeking to add two additional charges. That would be carrying with unlawful intent, which is 750.226, and one associated count of felony firearm, which is 750.227B-A.
First witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the people would call Mr. Kenneth Russell.
Yes.
Your Honor, does the court mind if the OIC sits at the table here with me? Thank you.
You swear, or raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Lower your hand.
Sir, keep your voice up. Make sure the court. Make sure the court.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir. Could you please introduce yourself to the court? Mr. Russell, I'm going to take you back to October 3rd of 2019. Do you recall that day?
October 23rd.
Or, yes, of 2019.
You gotta keep your voice up, sir.
And sir, on that day, were you an address for an intersection near Algonac and Portland Streets?
Yeah.
Is that in the city of Detroit, County Wayne?
Yeah.
All right. Sir, on that date, do you remember around what time you got to that location at? I'm sorry, sir.
Probably 9:30.
9:30. Is that the morning or the evening?
Evening.
All right. And how did you get to that area?
Girl.
All right. And were you alone? Were you with anyone? How that went?
Alone.
You were alone? All right. And what was your purpose for going to that intersection?
You don't know.
And who was Uncle June to you?
Mr. Jones. Nobody. Mr. Jones.
And at that time, how long had you known Uncle June?
Like 6 months. To a year, like a month.
All right. And had you arranged ahead of time to go to that location, or how did that work?
Yeah, well, I seen him earlier about an hour and a half before that. And he told me to meet him back there. Probably approximately 30 minutes to an hour. He's gonna call me back. First time he
Okay,
called
sir,
me.
wait for another question.
And sir, what is at that intersection? Like, where were you meeting? A parking lot, a building? What was there? Could you just describe the location for us?
This is an intersection that's like an alley. Parking by the alley.
All right. And when you got there, did you know Uncle June's legal sort of government name or no? And you got there, you testified around 9:30 alone. What happened when you got there?
I had it open. Well, I didn't get out the car. I threw it in the car to Uncle June, and he was acting like he couldn't find it.
Right, and so when you say you threw it, what is the it?
Correct.
Sorry,
Correct,
crack, all right. And was that your purpose for meeting at that intersection that night?
yeah,
Were you buying or selling?
I was basically fronting it, you didn't have the money.
All right. And so when you got there, you saw Uncle June?
Yeah,
All right. Where was Uncle June there?
sitting in the driver's seat of the truck,
And could you describe the truck?
with a brace and normal pickup, I guess maybe a 98, 2098.
And sorry, sir, did you say gray?
Sonoma, a little Chevy Sonoma pickup truck.
And was Uncle June in the car?
Yeah, he was sitting in the driver's seat.
Did you see anyone else in that truck?
No,
And did you guys exchange words? Like, did you guys talk or interact?
yeah, I told him what was taking him so long. I'm like, why you taking so long? You got like you can't find it. It's right there in your face. So what he was doing was stalling.
And so, sir, what made you believe he was stalling?
Because of y'all, you couldn't see it. I mean, you had the light on the inside of the truck on, and like couldn't see it.
And so you testified that you threw the crack at him?
Yeah,
Was his window open or closed?
well, he had the passenger window rolled out.
And so you threw it through the passenger window at him?
Yeah,
And did you get there first or did Uncle June?
he was already there.
And so you pulled up to Uncle June and you said you thought that he was stalling. How long was it before you threw the crack through the window after you got?
As soon as I got there,
What are we talking, a minute, 10 seconds? Can you give us an
10
idea?
seconds.
All right. What happened after you threw the crack through the window?
I asked him, what's going on, where the money is, what's taking so long? He kept acting like he couldn't find it, kept reaching around the floorboard and all around, jiggling around like he couldn't find it, so I just threw the car in reverse, like, I don't got time to play with you out here like this. So I threw the car in reverse, like, still ain't got it? Like, I can't see.
And so you put the car in reverse. Did you actually reverse the vehicle or did you just put the car?
And I'm still trying to wait to see that he finally get this money out of it.
All right. And so what happened next?
Mr. Jones popped out the alley and started shooting.
All right. When you say Mr. Jones, do you see Mr. Jones in the courtroom today?
Yeah,
Can you point to him and identify him by an article of his clothing?
in a gray suit.
Your Honor, I'd ask that the record reflect the witness's identification of the defendant.
Record reflect.
And Mr. Russell, could you sort of, what are the lighting situation here at this location on that day at 9:30 p.m.?
It's dark, but it's not pitch black.
And were there no street lights around or what are we talking?
It was a street light at the next corner. We was at the alley, so it was street light. It was street light.
And you testified that you saw Mr. Jones pop out of the alley?
Yeah,
How far away was that alley where you saw him? How far away was he when you first noticed Mr. Jones?
like 15, 20 feet.
And have you ever seen Mr. Jones before that night?
Yeah,
And how long have you known Mr. Jones?
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years? Can you sort of describe for the court the context of that relationship? Like 4 or 5 years you saw him once a year, or 4 or 5 years you saw him every weekend? What are we talking?
Periodically, not every day or nothing like that, but I seen him weekly.
And when you saw him sort of weekly for that 4 or 5 year period, did you guys have face-to-face interactions, or how well did you know him?
Yeah, we had face-to-face in there.
And when you saw him pop out of the alley, what happened next?
He started shooting.
And where was, you saw a gun, I take it?
Yeah.
All right. Could you describe the gun?
Small caliber,
So like a handgun we're talking?
handgun, 380, diamond, some small.
And could you tell where it was aimed at?
Aimed at the car,
And which car, yours or Uncle June's?
at mine.
All right. And you said he started shooting. How many shots do you recall?
probably 10.
And are you saying that, sir, because you heard 10 shots, saw 10 shots? What's the reason for your belief it was around 10?
But I caught 5 of them, and it was still 6 or 7 bullet holes in the windshield, so we do that.
And you said you caught 5 of them. You were injured, I take it then?
Huh?
I take it you were injured?
Yeah,
And
Are you gonna have to say yes or no? So were you injured?
yeah.
sir, could you describe your injuries?
Shot twice in both arms, once in the stomach.
And well, Mr. Jones is shooting at you from the alley. Did he move anywhere?
Well, I had bagged up by that time. I had bagged up, hit a pole at the next corner. Got out. Started running. Made it to 6 miles. I fell. I tried to get up. I looked up. He was back on me again, but he was out of bullets. He kept playing with the gun. It was like click, click, and just ran off like dang, and ran off.
And sir, you said you ran from the location there towards 6 Mile. Did you make it all the way to 6 Mile?
Yeah, that's where I fell at 6 miles.
And how many blocks, if you recall, is it from that location to 6 Mile?
1 block.
So you really you ran 1 block before you collapsed?
Yeah.
And during that time, was Mr. Jones following you?
Well, I didn't see him when I tried to get. I didn't see him follow me when I tried to get up, but he was standing right there.
And when you say standing right there,
He was same distance we is now. He was about the same distance we is.
and so because this is all typed out, could you sort of estimate that in feet, if you can?
12 feet, 10 feet.
12, 10 feet from you?
Yeah.
And you said he was playing with the gun and it was clicking,
Mhm.
and during that time,
Sir, you're gonna have to say yes.
Yes.
during that time, was the gun pointed anywhere?
That was pointed at me.
And did Mr. Jones say anything to you?
He said,
When you first saw him come out of the alley, did you see Mr. Jones or hear Mr. Jones say anything to you?
you know,
And so what happened after you said he was clicking with the gun? What happened next?
I guess he didn't have any more bullets. I ended up getting up and running the rest of the way home.
And how far did you have to run home?
Another block.
And so at this point, where's your car?
Bagged up against the pole on, what's that, Portland?
So you got home to Portland Street, sir, and then what did you do?
No, I stayed on D.
Oh, excuse me. So you got back home, and then what happened next?
Kicked on the door and told my wife to go and drive me to the hospital.
And at this point, how are you feeling?
Injured.
You're injured? Fine. And your wife did take you to the hospital?
Yes.
And what hospital is that?
Same time.
And did you get medical treatment there?
Yeah.
How long were you at the hospital there at St. John's?
Close to a week.
Close to a week? And are I know this incident happened back in 2019. Are you fully recovered today? Sort of explain that.
No,
You're not fully recovered today?
I'm still just going back and forth to the doctor.
And why do you still go back and forth to the doctor?
Because of the
Is it injuries to the arms or the stomach? What are we talking?
injuries to the arm, mostly.
And you testified that you were struck 5 times, but you saw about 5 holes in your vehicle as well.
Yeah.
Did you see those holes before you got out of it and took off running, or did you see the vehicle later? Can you explain that?
Yes, I seen those like
And how many holes did you see in the vehicle?
about 6, 7.
And could you sort of describe for us where they were in the vehicle?
Across the top of it.
Across the top of the windshield?
Yeah.
And what kind of car were you driving?
Ford Field.
And from where you were seated in the driver's seat of the vehicle, when you saw Mr. Jones come out of the alley, where was he located in relation to the vehicle? Is he coming from the driver's side, passenger side, front, back? What are we talking?
He was on the passenger side. He was close to the pickup truck.
And so when you saw him shooting at you, was he shooting from which side of the vehicle at you?
He was like at the back of the pickup. He was like by the bed of the pickup shooting.
And you testified earlier that was about 15 feet.
Yeah.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Russell, you indicated you were fronting cocaine to Uncle June.
Yeah.
That
One
means-
second, counsel. Can you hear my,
Oh, I'm sorry.
can you, does need to move the mic or move the chair over to the mic?
Does this mic work?
It's not picking the voice up.
It's not working. You want me to pull it? Can you hear me now?
This talk is not too.
Okay, I got a loud voice. Mr. Russell,
Yeah.
you indicated you were fronting cocaine to Uncle June.
Yeah.
So you sell crack cocaine back then? You were selling crack cocaine?
Yeah.
And that's what you did for a living?
Yeah.
And how long have you been selling crack cocaine?
10 years.
And you continued to sell crack cocaine after you got shot?
No.
Objection as to relevance.
What do you do for a living now?
Objection sustained.
What do you do for a living now?
Nothing. Wait on Social Security.
You sell any drugs now?
Objection as to relevance.
You guys, you have to stand up. We have a special, position based on that. Relevance.
Shows credibility.
Well, he already indicated, Your Honor, that it's not currently employed, so then I guess if you asked and answered.
Objections over the answer.
Have you, do you sell any crack now?
No.
Any drugs at all now?
No.
Okay, you indicated that, there was, this incident occurred at the alley, is that correct?
Yeah.
And there's no stoplight or street light at the alley, is it?
No.
The street light is about a block down.
I'm half a block. This is a house now.
Okay. Now, do you recall being interviewed by the police while you were in the hospital?
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah, it was
Voice up, sir.
Detective, it was Detective Roland Brown, you remember that?
I don't know what it was, but I remember.
And did you tell him that, that no, you could not you did not see the person that shot you?
No.
Well, let me ask you this then. And I can show you the statement. Let me ask you, would you remember being asked this question? Do you see the person, did you see the person that shot you?
Yeah.
That was the question. And then the answer you gave was no, but I recognize the body shape as man-man. Do you remember giving that answer? So you previously testified that you did not see the person that shot you, isn't that correct?
Yeah.
That was given in a statement that you gave, right?
Yeah.
And, Do you remember telling your girlfriend that you couldn't see the person that shot you?
No.
And if she said that, that's what you told her, she would be lying?
Say what?
If she said that's what you told her, would she be lying?
No.
So you did tell her then that you didn't see the person that shot you?
No, I did not tell her.
Did you have a phone at the scene?
I had two.
Is one of them a white pink Apple iPhone?
Yeah.
That's your phone? You use that phone?
No.
If the dump for that phone or the internal documentation for that phone says it's Kenneth, would that be you?
Yeah.
So that is your phone then?
It was given to me. It was my daughter's phone, actually. It wasn't mine.
But you use it?
Yeah.
And you used it that day of the shooting?
Yeah.
It had a cracked screen, did it not?
I don't remember that.
And is that the phone you used to make telephone calls on that day?
I used both phones.
What's the other phone?
What do you mean what's the
What color is it? What kind is it?
black
What kind of phone was that?
iPhone?
Was that at the scene also in the car?
Yeah.
Do you remember which phone you used to call Uncle Jim?
No, I was calling man.
Do you remember what phone you used to call Man?
No.
Are you pretty sure that it's 9:30 p.m. that the shooting occurred?
It was dark inside. It was in October, I know. It had to be between at least 8:30, between 8:30 and 9:30. It had to be. So I'm trying to get back on before 10.
Can you pin it down as to the precise time or not?
No, I can't.
Now, did you have any clue as to why Mr. Jones would want to do that to you?
Yes, because he was working on a house somewhere on Connors and somebody came in and supposed to rob him and pistol whipped him and did all this other stuff to him, but he came directly to my house after it happened and told me what happened. I went in my pocket and gave him $100 and told him to go get him a room and figure it out.
Now, do you remember testifying at the grand jury in this case?
Yeah.
Do you remember being asked this question on page 18? Now, do you have any reason in your head why Man would want to do this to you? The answer on page 19. No, I have no clue why he would want to do that. Did you testify to that at the grand
Yes.
jury? Have you had any sort of run-in with Mr. Jones before this incident?
No,
How about with Uncle Jim?
no,
You were an acquaintance of Mr. Jones, is that correct?
yeah.
Now, when you're talking about him getting beat up prior to this incident, that's something your girlfriend came up with, isn't it?
No, that's something I came up with. I gave him $100 out my wallet to go get him a room that night. He said he took his ID and everything.
Do you remember being asked this question at the grand jury? Question, page 20. I assume, you know, when talking with the officer and with Ms. Keith beforehand, as you are doing now, that you probably have been asked whether you thought there might have been a motive or reason, but basically, what you are saying is that you don't know what or know why he may have been shooting you. That's your. The answer is, I don't know why. You remember giving that testimony?
Yes,
And let me ask you where you asked this question and gave this answer on page 21. Nothing that you can even remotely think of, right? Answer. I haven't did anything to him. You give that answer to that question? So yes?
yes,
Let me ask you where you ask this question and give him this answer. Okay, all right, because this is the question. Okay, all right, because you know, I mean, we know people do things that are not explainable or logical, but sometimes there might be something that you might not even have thought about. And that's why they might have some more probing questions. Answer. I mean, well, I'm not curious or lying or nothing. I mean, like, if I felt like I had did something to him, there's no way I would have met him on that dark corner at nighttime. There's no way I would have put my life in jeopardy like that. Did you give that answer to that?
yes.
Had you been using drugs on that day, on October 23rd, 2019?
No,
Have you been smoking any weed
not yet. I had it, but I hadn't smoked.
on October 23rd, 19?
No, I hadn't smoked.
How about using crack cocaine on that day?
No,
Had you used it the previous day?
no,
Cocaine or marijuana?
no.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Now, after the shooting, what did Mr. Jones do? After you were shot, the shooting stopped, what did Mr. Jones do?
I don't know if he got in the truck with Uncle June and followed me, or he ran, seen me crash and ran behind me or what. But I know once I fell and tried to get up, I looked back and I seen him clear as day. He had a stocking cap over his glasses.
And where was it that you saw him?
I seen him in both places, when he started shooting and when he came back and tried to finish me off. I seen him both times.
Now, where was Uncle June during this whole period of time?
Uncle June was still in the truck. I didn't see the truck when he ran down on 6 months. I didn't see the truck. So I don't know if he ran down or gave him the ride halfway up the street and he hopped out or what. I don't know.
Did Mr. June ever get out of the car?
I never seen him like that.
Okay, so you're saying that Mr. Jones, was out of the car where you said he was right up on you, shooting you on the steps? Or trying to shoot you?
No steps were ever involved.
There was a point where you testified that he tried to shoot you, but the gun was not loaded, would not fire. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's when I was on the ground.
And where were you at that
On
point?
6 months.
And then what did Mr. Jones do after that?
He took off running through the alley. Or up the street.
Is that toward the Uncle June's car or what?
Yes,
Did you see where he went when he ran toward up the alley?
I wasn't trying to see where he was going. I was trying to get help.
where were you precisely at that point in time? You know the street name?
Was it Cannonberry, whatever the street is before Cannonberry?
That's where you were on the ground and he was trying to shoot you and the gun was not fired.
Yeah,
Is that close to the alley?
that's the alley behind the dentist office, over in front of the dentist office, about, like, right between the front door and the side of the, dentist office.
Okay, so it's the dentist's office where you were. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Do you have any convictions, that, for a crime where the punishment is more than a year? You have any felony convictions?
30 years old.
When you were 30,
No, they're 30 years old.
your felony convictions,
I'm 30 years old.
are they for crimes of, credibility?
I don't
Land
understand, I
fraud?
don't understand that.
What kind of convictions do you have?
It was a possession and CCW.
Is that it?
That's it.
No further questions, John.
Very brief redirect, Your Honor. Mr. Russell, you were asked about someone named Man here today, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. Are Mr. Is Man and Mr. Jones the same person?
yeah,
At the time of this incident back in 2019, did you know him as Man?
yeah.
Did you know that his government name was Russell Jones? Or did you know him as Russell Jones? I should say?
Ronald.
Or excuse me.
Right.
I know him as Ronald, but I didn't know his last name.
Hi. Fair enough. And have you ever seen Uncle June and Man together before?
All the time. I mean, I never seen Uncle June without him.
And so you know.
One time, I seen him one time, earlier that day, I seen him one time without Man. But when I met him, I kept calling Man, and he wouldn't answer the phone, so I was already suspicious.
Fair enough, sir. So you know the difference between the two of them?
Yeah.
Alright. And at any time during this incident, did you ever see Uncle June with the gun?
No,
You were asked about sort of whether there was beef or tension between you and Mr. Jones. Correct, you recall that a few minutes ago?
yeah,
And you were asked about some sort of like robbery and beating, correct?
yeah,
But nothing involving that was any reason for you and Mr. Jones to have any sort of tension or beef, correct?
no, because he came to me telling me what somebody did to him. Why would I think that he want to do something to me?
And one last question, sir. You just discussed a dentist office. Is that dentist office on 6 Mile or where?
It's on 6 months.
No further questions, Your Honor.
No.
May step down, sir. Any other witnesses on behalf of the people?
No further witnesses for the people, Your Honor.
Any witnesses on behalf of the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Argument.
No, the defense go first. Your
No,
Honor.
I was just waiting for him to. Your Honor, this time the people will move to bind over on all counts as well as the 2 additional counts of dangerous weapon carrying with unlawful intent at 750.226 and 1 associated count of felony firearm 750.227-A. The court's heard the testimony today from Kenneth Russell as it relates to the incident on October 3rd, 2019 near Fort Lansing, Algonac there in the city of Detroit, specifically regarding I'll start with the intent to murder. I think the number of shots here, and particularly that Mr. Jones followed Mr. Russell. And even when he was standing over him after Mr. Russell testified that he had fallen on the ground, he sees the gun pointed at him from 10 to 12 feet away, clicking. I think that's a sign that those first 5 shots that hit Mr. Russell, they weren't enough for him. He wanted to keep going. He wanted to keep firing, and that his intent was in fact to kill Mr. Russell. And for that reason, Your Honor, I believe bind over is appropriate in this matter. I'll reserve any further argument for rebuttal.
Defense.
Yes, Your Honor, we don't think that there's probable cause in this particular case. The witness has changed his testimony from no, he didn't see who shot him to now that Mr. Jones shot him. He's a crack cocaine dealer at the time. His credibility is at issue in this particular case. But there are no witnesses here. There's no physical evidence. It's just Mr. Russell's word, or changed word, of he's changed the testimony in this particular case. So we submit that there's not enough evidence. And we do object to the 2 new charges that are being added also.
Just very, very brief, he could, selling cocaine doesn't mean he's dishonest. There are probably some number of crack cocaine dealers out there who are upstanding in other aspects of their life. I don't think that makes his whole testimony so incredulous. I do believe it's been established by a probable cause standard here. And as for the exact testimony in the prior statement, he testified, he saw him not just in one location. This wasn't just someone, a random stranger coming out of the alley. This is someone he had known for, I don't misstate it, but it was 4 to 5 years at that point. And he saw him not just at that first intersection, but additionally, again, when he had fallen to the ground and the defendant was standing over him, started clicking the fire. Thank you, Your Honor.
May I say one thing, Your
Yes.
Honor? If he's known him for 5 years, he ought to be, he should have been able to identify Mr. Jones from the police were questioning him, as well as, from the police were questioning him.
Having heard the arguments, counsel, as well as the testimony, I will concede this point that having known the defendant for 5 years, prior statement stated that the body shape seemed like man. He didn't say it was man. He did state that it was him today. He did state that it was still over him on lockup, and then there's stocking cap over his glasses, something of that nature. For probable cause stand, the court does find that prosecution recommended burden. Therefore, court finds that felony offenses charged, including the 2 additional counts that were committed to Detroit. And if there's probable cause that they committed the offenses. Therefore, the defendant bound over to the Wayne County Circuit Court for further proceedings. The arraignment of the information will be October 27th.
Is there any flexibility in that date?
You would have to contact Circuit Court.
October 27th, at what time, Bill?
9 a.m.
9? And that's before Judge Cox?
I have no idea.
Oh, they're gonna blind draw it again, or what?
I don't know what this is just going to.
The clerk is
All I know is
shaking.
going to an AOI court.
The clerk is shaking her head, yes. So will I get
Listen to the clerk.
will I get an email? Or
Prosecutor.
how will I find out something?
We'll be in touch, Mr. Early. I can contact the clerk if we need to just change the schedule. So, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Where is he?
Well, let's continue, Judge.
Yes, I will continue.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry.
Now, do you have, Madam Clerk,
Yes, sir.
number for the number that's gonna be in circuit court, the case number?
Once
Oh,
we
it's gonna
find
be
it over,
used-
it'll be given a circuit court number from over there.
It'll be given one over there.
Correct.
Okay. So
Yeah,
how
that's-
do I find out that number? That's my issue.
You can just call me, Mr. Early.
Call you,
Yeah.
because I haven't been able to find anything on info. I'll call you. Brad.
Yeah.
But you don't let the circuit
I don't see a
court do
complaint, I
that.
don't see a warrant. I don't see-
Okay, Mr. Prosecutor, I know we're all talking at the same time. I have nothing to sign for mine. Which will be,
Oh, there's no line over packet. Is that?
There's no complaint, no warrant, no, none of that.
That's what I was saying earlier, there's no complaint. Now, there shouldn't be a warrant issue because he's in court, I mean, there's no need for a warrant. I'll put that on the record. Judge, would you agree?
Right, I mean, no, bond is continued. I have nothing to sign on the case.
Yeah, because it was a felony indictment, it wouldn't generate those reports, so, now you email that to your clerk later today, then.
Yes.
Send me a copy, please.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. My end now, we're off.
Okay, thank you, Judge. What's the clerk gonna say?
I was
Just gonna get
the gentleman here.
Everybody take care and stay safe.
Okay, have a good day, Judge. Do I need to know what you're telling him?
I'm giving him my email address so he can mail me the link, the warrant, the information.
I'll
Also, the
CC you.
return this
Okay,
circuit court
there's no
paperwork.
warrant, there's no warrant.
Yeah.
There- In the packet,
Yes.
when it came.
Yep, I'll send the appropriate paperwork over. I'll CC you on it, Mr. Early.
Okay,
Council, we're adjourned.
I'm going, you don't have to rush me like that.
Council,
I mean, I'm talking to them.
Can I get your phone number? before you
You
leave?
don't mind?
Yeah.
Council, what did I do to the venue? Why are you?
I said I like it at 30.
I'm not angry, you just rushing me
And
and pushing me.
I have other places to be. And
Yeah, I
once,
don't
once.
think
Well, I could, what am I doing in here? I'm not doing anything to
I
anybody.
have to
Just talking
secure the
to
floor.
them. It's settled.
Cannot leave here until.
Pardon me?
I say, cannot leave here until it's been like here, so
Okay, my key number is 13077.
You said 8.
3, 0.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And how do I get a copy of this from you?
Am I good to go?
Yes, you are good to go.
Pardon me?